She ignored you? Good. That's the moment everything changes. You're checking your phone again. You saw her post. She's online. But your message? Still there. Sitting. Seen. No reply. That's not confusion. That's your clarity. That's the line in the sand. That's your freedom if you're smart enough to claim it. Every ignored message, every sudden cold shoulder, every shift in tone you pretend not to notice, that's life trying to wake you up. Now the question is, are you ready to listen? Comment, I choose self-respect. Number 1, stop making excuses for her. You know deep down what's going on, but you keep lying to yourself because facing the truth feels heavier than the illusion. But every time she doesn't reply, every time she takes hours to respond with dry energy, every time you watch her being available for everyone except you, it's not miscommunication. It's clarity you're refusing to accept. And it's painful because you've invested, you've visualized, you've committed emotionally to someone who hasn't committed to you in the smallest way. And still, you try to explain away her absence. You try to find meaning in her lack of effort, like it's a puzzle to solve. But she's not a mystery. She's just not interested. And the more excuses you make, the deeper you dig yourself into a pit of emotional dependency where your mind becomes addicted to the cycle of confusion and hope. And that hope is what kills your clarity. It keeps you stuck in a mental loop, waiting for her to change, waiting for her to see your worth, when all along she's showing you loud and clear that she doesn't value your presence the way you value hers. But instead of walking away, you bargain with reality. You tell yourself she's going through things. She's not ready. She's scared of love. She's been hurt. But all that does is trap you in a fantasy where your loyalty is wasted on someone who treats you like a convenience. And men who grow don't chase confusion. They walk with awareness. They read behavior like data. They don't interpret absence as potential. They accept it as a boundary. And it's not about being bitter. It's about being honest with yourself. Because once you stop protecting her disrespect with your excuses, you free yourself from the illusion that your time and love can change someone who has no intention of meeting you halfway. And you begin to realize that love isn't a test of your endurance. It's a mirror of mutual investment. And the second you let go of the fantasy that she'll wake up and suddenly see your value, you take the power back. The energy you've been pouring into her silence comes back to you. And that's where life starts to shift, because now you're no longer wasting emotion on what you wish she'd be. You're observing who she is and acting accordingly. And that's where maturity begins, not in staying longer and hoping harder, but in leaving earlier and healing faster. Because the truth is, most men stay too long, not because they're weak, but because they were never taught to protect their peace before their passion. And the world teaches you that effort earns love. But that's only half the story. Effort only matters when it's mutual. But when you're the only one trying, you're not building a relationship. You're building a shrine to someone who wouldn't even notice if you stopped trying. And that's why your first move isn't to do more, but to detach, to cut the cord between your effort and her response. And when you do that, everything changes. Your mind clears up, your emotions settle, your energy resets, and suddenly you can see that every excuse you made for her was a way to avoid making standards for yourself. Because it's easier to say she's busy than to admit she's uninterested. It's easier to say she's scared than to accept she's selfish. It's easier to say she's healing than to accept she's just not choosing you. But none of those stories serve you. They keep you stuck in emotional labor for someone who isn't lifting a finger to meet you where you are. And when you stop telling yourself those stories, you begin to live in reality. And reality isn't always kind, but it's always clean. It doesn't waste your time. It doesn't dangle false hope. And it doesn't ask you to chase people who keep walking away. And the moment you sit with that pain without covering it with excuses, you grow. You become the kind of person who doesn't need others to validate what they feel, because you've learned to trust what you see, not just what you wish. And that level of emotional discipline is where everything starts to shift. Your relationships, your confidence, your standards, they all upgrade the moment you decide to stop rationalizing disrespect and start responding to it with action. And action doesn't mean drama. It means detachment. It means letting go without asking why. Because someone who values you won't leave you confused, and someone who confuses you repeatedly does not value you. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner your life opens up to connections that actually feel safe, easy, and mutual. And you stop being emotionally tired from people who don't even deserve your name in their inbox, and your peace becomes more important than her attention. And that's when the growth becomes undeniable, when you no longer see rejection as failure, but as redirection. When you stop negotiating with behavior that disrespects your time, when you no longer lower your value just to stay close to someone who never planned to keep you close anyway. And the next time you feel that familiar sting of being ignored, don't reach out. Don't make an excuse. Don't justify it. Just pause, breathe, and ask yourself, would I want this kind of effort from someone I care about? And if the answer is no, then why am I accepting it from her? That question alone could change your entire direction. And if that resonated even a little, then the Stoic relationship blueprint is the next thing you need to hear. It's not just a book, it's a guide that rewires the way you think about yourself, your relationships, and your worth. Built from timeless Stoic principles and designed for the man who's tired of confusion, tired of overthinking, and ready to lead his life with clarity, control, and calm power. And now it's available as an audiobook, so you can absorb every powerful lesson while walking, jogging, driving, whenever your mind is most open. Once it's yours, it's always yours. Lifetime access, unshakable knowledge. Click the link in the comments and start listening today, because the man who starts leading himself stops chasing the wrong people. Number 2, detachment is power. You start off thinking you just want closure, but the longer you stay emotionally hooked to someone who barely acknowledges your presence, the more you become a prisoner of your own expectations. Because detachment is not something that happens when you're done. It's something you practice while you're in the middle of caring too much for someone who doesn't show up. And every time you sit there refreshing the chat, waiting for her name to pop up, every time you lower your standards for another half-hearted response, every time you hold back your truth just to keep her comfortable, you are giving pieces of your identity away in exchange for a feeling that's not even being returned. And the hard truth is, she doesn't think about you the way you think about her, because if she did, she'd make it clear. And this idea that maybe she just needs more time, maybe she's just scared, maybe she's going through something, that's what keeps you locked in a pattern of emotional slavery, where you're constantly guessing instead of living. And this is where detachment comes in, not as an escape, but as a weapon, because the second you decide to pull your energy back and stop rewarding people with your attention just because you feel something strong for them, you start to take the wheel of your life back. And that's when the fog starts to clear, because now you're not chasing her response to feel worthy. You're building a mindset that doesn't rely on external validation to be at peace. And what nobody tells you is that emotional discipline is the highest form of freedom. Because when you stop tying your value to whether or not someone texts you back, you begin to break the chains of people-pleasing. And this isn't about being cold, it's about being clear. It's about learning to walk away with your self-worth intact. Because nothing is more pathetic than watching someone beg to be noticed by someone who treats them like a placeholder. And you know what's worse than rejection? Delayed rejection disguised as indifference. And every time she ghosts you, you take the hit, you absorb the disappointment, and then, when she comes back with another dry message, you respond like nothing happened, and you call it loyalty. But it's not, it's fear and ego and comfort and weakness. And the man who rises isn't the one who keeps proving his love to someone who keeps failing to return it. It's the one who knows how to care without clinging, who knows how to offer without expecting, who knows when to let go without needing closure, because he understands that emotional power isn't about control over others, it's about control over himself, and detachment is built in moments of silence, in moments when you want to check your phone and don't, in moments when you want to chase and you pause and ask why, because the moment you need her to reply, to feel like yourself, is the moment you've lost control. And that's the moment you need to flip the script and ask yourself, what exactly am I chasing? Is it really her? Or is it the version of myself I keep trying to become in her eyes? And if it's the second you're done, you've lost, because you're no longer living for your standards. You're living for her permission, and no one can grow inside someone else's emotional prison. So step back, reclaim your time, start walking in the opposite direction of confusion. Because the truth is, detachment isn't about punishing her, it's about protecting yourself. It's about taking inventory of your life and asking how much energy you've spent on people who don't care, how many days you've wasted feeling low over someone who doesn't even notice how much potential you've buried under the weight of constantly waiting for someone to choose you. And this is the moment where that ends, not with a dramatic exit, but with a quiet reset, because true detachment is when you can look at someone you once obsessed over and feel nothing but peace, not because they changed, but because you did, because you finally understood that connection without reciprocation is nothing more than fantasy, and no matter how much you want it to be real, if she isn't showing up with the same energy, it doesn't matter how good the conversations were or how close you thought you were becoming, because what matters isn't what happened when it was good. It's how she shows up when it counts, when things slow down, when life gets quiet, and if she's not there, then she's not yours. And the sooner you stop acting like she is, the sooner you'll start moving like a man with a direction and discipline, and detachment is your first step. It's not passive, it's powerful. It's not silence, it's strategy. It's saying, I see you, I respect what you've shown me, and now I'm acting on it. And in that action is everything you've been searching for: peace, clarity, power, forward motion, and no, she won't. Understand it. No, she won't expect it, because she's used to you folding to her silence, but not anymore. Now your absence becomes the consequence of her inaction, and your silence becomes your boundary, not your weakness. And she'll feel it. She'll feel it when your replies stop. She'll feel it when you stop chasing. She'll feel it when you stop trying to fix what never started properly. And when that moment comes, you won't care, because you'll be too busy building, too busy leveling up, too busy focusing on yourself to even notice she noticed. And that's when detachment becomes more than a mindset. It becomes a lifestyle where you no longer wait to be picked. You walk away and pick yourself every time, because peace is more valuable than attention, and respect is more powerful than attraction. And in the end, the man who learns to detach wins, not because he's above emotion, but because he knows how to master it without letting it master him. Number 3. You're not a backup plan. Getting treated like a second option never feels loud at first, because it creeps in quietly disguised as patience and optimism, and the idea that things might shift any moment now if enough effort is poured in. But the reality is, effort that isn't matched is not noble. It's a denial of reality, and over time the pattern becomes painfully obvious. The messages only come late at night, when she's bored. The attention only returns when it looks like you're finally moving on, and her warmth shows up. Not because she missed you, but because she noticed her control slipping. And that's not love. That's management. That's possession. That's the act of keeping someone just close enough to use, but far enough to never choose. And the sick part is how it becomes normal, because the average man isn't told to pay attention to what's not being said. The last-minute invites, the months between plans, the dry replies to heartfelt messages, the sudden disappearances, the endless "I've been busy" texts, all of it adds up to the loudest rejection of all. But instead of calling it what it is, The mind paints it as possibility, and the excuses start. She's going through something, she's not ready for something serious, she doesn't know what she wants. But the truth buried under all of that softness is she does know, she just doesn't want you in the way you're hoping. And the longer this dance continues, the more dignity is drained, one message at a time, one ignored call at a time, until all that's left is a man so used to crumbs, he thinks it's a feast. And this is where the lie must break, because being kept on standby is a subtle form of emotional control dressed up like freedom. But what it really does is shrink a person into silence, into waiting, into hoping. And the reason it works is because it plays on the part of a man that ties identity to being useful, to being chosen, to being good enough to finally be seen. But no amount of availability can convince someone to value what they already take for granted. And here's the brutal truth. If her energy only increases when she's afraid of losing you, and not because she genuinely values what you bring, then she's reacting to absence, not responding to worth. And that's not interest. It's fear of letting go of a safety net. And the longer you stay, the more it costs you time, energy, focus, self-respect. And eventually, you wake up and realize you're always there when she wants something, and invisible when she doesn't. And that's not a relationship, that's unpaid emotional labor. And no one should build their life waiting to be chosen by someone who doesn't know how to recognize loyalty when it's in front of them. And the solution isn't to explain your worth louder, or try harder, or stay consistent, hoping it gets noticed. The solution is subtraction, to remove yourself, not as a punishment to her, but as a promise to yourself that you won't live in limbo emotionally, that you won't allow someone else's indecision to become your prison. And the second that choice is made, the healing begins, not because she apologizes or suddenly comes back changed, but because the space she used to occupy now becomes the room you used to build, to reset, to recalibrate. And most don't realize how deep the damage runs until they leave. Because being a backup isn't just about being overlooked. It's about constantly having to dim your needs to maintain access to someone who won't commit. And slowly that turns into a life that's built around the possibility of being chosen. And the tragedy of that is, while waiting to be chosen by someone else, life forgets to be lived for self, and years pass, and confidence fades and bitterness creeps in. Not because she was evil, but because self-betrayal was normalized, and nobody talks about how hard it is to walk away from almost, when almost gave you just enough to imagine it was real, but never enough to actually make it real. And the only way to break the spell is to stop chasing proof and start demanding peace. Not in words, but in action. And action means not replying to the late-night texts, not answering when she resurfaces after weeks, not engaging when the same pattern returns under a new excuse, because people don't change unless their patterns stop being rewarded. And right now, your presence is the reward she doesn't deserve, because she hasn't earned it, and she's not even trying to. And the only way that changes is when access is revoked, when energy is rerouted, when the waiting ends and the rebuilding begins. And that rebuilding starts small, getting clear on what you will never tolerate again. Setting non-negotiables, writing them down, and living by them so deeply that you don't need to explain them to anyone, because your actions speak before your words ever will. And that kind of clarity only comes when silence becomes discipline when walking away. Stops being emotional and becomes logical when you stop trying to force someone to love you and start becoming someone who only aligns with love that shows up, because temporary affection will never be enough for someone who values themselves deeply. And the truth is, once self-respect is experienced deeply enough, it becomes impossible to settle for half connection, because the body starts rejecting inconsistency like poison, and suddenly what once felt normal feels wrong, and what once felt exciting feels empty. And that's how transformation begins, not through rage, but through realization. The realization that being an option in someone else's life always requires sacrificing yourself in your own, and no more of that. Because from this point forward, second place is not acceptable, access is earned, consistency is required, and your peace is non-negotiable. Number 4. Respect starts with you. Respect doesn't begin when someone acknowledges your worth. It begins the moment you decide to stop abandoning yourself for the comfort of being temporarily seen, because being ignored hurts. But what really wounds you isn't the silence, it's the self-betrayal that follows when you keep giving access to someone who doesn't even treat your presence as meaningful. And too many people keep waiting for others to show them the standard, instead of becoming the standard themselves. And that's where the downward spiral begins, because instead of enforcing what's acceptable, you adapt to what's given, and then wonder why nothing changes. And this doesn't just destroy relationships, it destroys identity. Because every time you let someone disrespect your boundaries, your time, your values, and you do nothing about it, you silently give them permission to continue. And worse than that, you start believing you deserve it. And that belief grows like a disease that numbs your intuition until one day you no longer notice how low your standards have dropped. You no longer recognize how much you've shrunk just to fit into someone else's comfort zone. And that's the trap that swallows potential, because when you lose your voice trying to keep someone interested, you end up staying in relationships that don't even have the basics of mutual care. And the reason this happens so often is because no one teaches you that the first person who needs to take you seriously is you. And when that part is missing, the rest crumbles, no matter how much effort you throw into it, because people follow your example. And if your example says, "I'll tolerate last-minute plans, dry communication, mixed signals, and hot-cold energy," they will assume that's your normal, and they'll match it or go lower. And the harsh truth is that most people don't step up unless they're forced to. And if you never walk away, if you never set consequences, they will drag the situation out until there's nothing left of your pride but dust and fragments. And by then, your self-respect will have eroded to the point where even basic respect feels like a gift, when in reality it should have been the bare minimum all along. And this is where the shift happens, when you stop expecting others to hand you respect like it's a favor, and you start showing it to yourself through your actions, through your choices, through your standards, through what you allow in your space. And when you do that, something powerful happens. You start becoming untouchable, not because you're rude or cold or unavailable, but because you're centered, grounded, unshakable. And when people sense that, they either rise to meet you or they remove themselves, and both outcomes are a win, because respect filters out those who don't belong and magnifies those who do. But that only happens if you stop trying to manage how others see you and start managing how you treat yourself. And that begins in the small things, the texts you choose not to reply, to the conversations you choose not to reopen, the invitations you choose to decline, not out of spite, but out of clarity, because every yes to someone who drains you is a no to someone who could build you. And the cost of staying around people who don't take you seriously is that you slowly stop taking yourself seriously too. And the longer you stay, the more distorted your perception becomes, until walking away feels harder than staying. And that's how you get stuck, because now you're emotionally tied to someone who doesn't value you, and you convince yourself leaving is giving up, when really staying is the real surrender, because now you're not leading your life, you're reacting to theirs. You're not building, you're maintaining a situation that already broke, and you're hoping that if you just keep proving your value, they'll see it, but they won't. Because people don't see value through desperation, they see it through distance. They see it when you walk, they see it when you stop explaining. They see it when you stop negotiating with your dignity just to keep their attention. And this is the part no one tells you when you finally get tired of tolerating what you would never recommend to someone you love. you begin the real work of healing. And healing isn't about blaming them. It's about taking full ownership of every time you let them disrespect you and said nothing, every time you ignored the signs, every time you stayed longer than your peace allowed. And the moment you do that is the moment everything changes, because now you're not waiting for them to become better, you're becoming better. You're not watching their behavior, you're correcting yours, and that's how you rebuild from nothing. That's how you restore the inner strength that doesn't shake just because someone else doesn't choose you. Because the truth is, no one can choose you if you haven't chosen yourself first. And choosing yourself means making decisions that feel hard in the moment, but liberating in the long run. It means turning your back on the people who confuse you and investing deeply in the people who energize you. And if no one around you does that, then it means learning how to energize yourself, how to become the source of your own validation, your own motivation, your own peace, so that no one can dangle it in front of you and take it away. The second they feel like they've got you on a string, and when you become that person, the whole game changes. The people you attract, the way you move, the things you tolerate, it all upgrades automatically, because now you're not operating from lack, you're operating from surplus. And when you live from surplus, you don't chase, you don't beg, you don't wait, you align. And anything that doesn't fit, that alignment becomes unappealing, no matter how attractive it used to be. And that is how you make respect a non-negotiable in your life. Not through shouting, not through convincing, not through hoping, but by living in a way that shows you will walk away the moment it costs you your peace, because nothing is worth losing yourself over, and no person is worth more than your self-worth, especially not someone who sees your consistency as weakness, your loyalty as desperation, and your love as disposable. And the day you stop explaining yourself to people who don't listen is the day you start building a life that doesn't depend on who stays. It depends on who shows up, and more importantly, on how you show up for yourself. Number 5, walk away with purpose. Walking away means nothing if it's done out of frustration and then reversed with the first sign of attention. Because real walking away isn't about making a statement to others. It's about making a promise to yourself that you will no longer shrink to stay where you're not respected. And it's not emotional, it's not dramatic, it's calculated, it's cold, it's rooted in logic that says every time you return to someone who treats you like a second thought, you teach yourself that you are not worthy of consistency. And when that becomes your truth, you start repeating the same patterns, not because you want to, but because your baseline has been lowered. And people who know you'll always come back will never treat you like you matter. They will use your loyalty as leverage. They will test how far they can stretch your patience, and each time you stay, they stretch it further until your identity is wrapped around someone else's inconsistency, and by then you're not loving them. You're chasing your own lost self-respect through them, and that is the most painful place to live, because now your peace depends on their attention. And when that attention disappears, you don't just feel ignored, you feel erased. So walking away must become your reset, not your punishment, not your tactic, not your cry for recognition, but your refusal to participate in dynamics that strip you of clarity and power. And the reason most people don't walk away with purpose is because they've convinced themselves that leaving is failure, when in reality, staying in spaces where your worth is questioned is the real loss. And the way out isn't about becoming heartless, it's about becoming self-honest. It's about sitting with the fact that what you're fighting for doesn't exist anymore, or maybe never did. And instead of fighting for a response that never comes, you choose to fight for your mental clarity by cutting the connection completely. And that means no text, no call, no checking her stories, no lingering in digital shadows, hoping for a sign. because those small habits are the invisible chains that keep you tied to someone who has already moved on emotionally, if not physically. And the faster you accept that, the faster you'll start building a life where your value isn't dependent on being seen by someone else, but built through the daily discipline of walking towards something better. Something built on standards, not sympathy. And this is where walking away with purpose becomes a discipline, because it's not about avoiding pain, it's about facing the truth and making peace with it, and then using that peace to fuel the next version of yourself. Because when you walk away and mean it, you get your mind back, your focus back, your time, your standards, your vision, all the things you lost while trying to keep someone who didn't want to be kept. And you realize it's not about whether they notice, it's about whether you do, whether you finally notice the amount of life you put on hold, waiting for someone to see what you were always willing to give. And now that willingness gets redirected, not toward another chase, but toward your goals, your health, your craft, your financial future, your relationships that actually feed you, not drain you. Because when walking away is backed by purpose, you no longer need revenge, you no longer need her to regret it, you no longer crave closure or contact or a final explanation, because you've outgrown needing answers from someone who never gave clear behavior to begin with. And that is where power is built in silence. Not the kind that waits, but the kind that rebuilds, the kind that grows. The kind that earns your respect back through action. And if that process feels lonely, good, it's supposed to. Because growth always feels like isolation before it looks like transformation. And you'll see it the minute your morning stops starting with checking your phone for her name, the minute your emotions stop swinging based on her mood, the minute your time becomes filled with your priorities and her presence becomes irrelevant to your peace. That's when you'll know you walked away for real, because people don't heal by accident. They heal by decision, and the decision to walk away isn't made once it's made. Every time you feel the pull to return and choose not to, every time you miss her and still don't reach out, every time you see her move on and refuse to take it personally. Because walking away with purpose means you're not escaping rejection. You're running toward your highest standard, and from that place, everything you were chasing will start chasing you. Not because you became what she wanted, but because you became what you needed. And that version of you is rare, not because of what he has, but because of what he refuses to tolerate. And when that becomes your default, when peace becomes your standard, when your emotional discipline becomes stronger than your desire for validation, you will no longer find yourself negotiating for space in people's lives, because now you are the one who gets to choose who stays and who goes. And that is the freedom you were always looking for in her approval, but could only find by walking away and never looking back. If you're still listening, it means you're done living as someone who begs for crumbs, done waiting to be chosen by people who don't even see you. Now it's your time to choose yourself. Society profits when you stay lost, confused, emotionally dependent. And they definitely don't want you holding a blueprint that makes you powerful, grounded, and free from emotional control. But the Stoic relationship. Blueprint exists, and it's here for you now. Raw, timeless truth, built for men who are ready to stop chasing and start leading. And the best part? It's now in audiobook format, so you can listen while walking, training, driving, reprogramming your mind while rebuilding your life. Once you grab it, it's yours forever. The link is in the comments. If you're ready to never be the same again, comment "I choose clarity," like this video, and subscribe so more men can find this truth before they waste another year on people who never deserved them.